Well, hello everyone. Man, has it been a while. I'm sorry about the huge break between videos. So much has happened since the last episode. The biggest thing is my computer's hard drive crashed and I lost all my programs and everything on it. Luckily that computer wasn't being used for the Trainz videos yet, so I didn't actually lose any footage I had for future videos. But at the same time, it took the wind out of my sails as far as YouTube is concerned and making videos. In addition to that, I also relocated to Colorado Springs, so that was a pretty big move. Alright, but we are back. But before I begin, I got some more good news, bad news here. During this large break, the good news is I've kept up with the building, and I've made some massive expansions in getting this thing put together, as well as improving some of my techniques along the way. Now the bad news is, it was all done off camera. But now that my computer is finally set up for recording, I do plan on trying to record more episodes for this ever-growing route. And speaking of an ever-growing route, let's talk about what's happening for this video. So this is Temple High School in Texas, and it is a massive high school. I was looking forward to this build for a while, but didn't want to tackle it until my building techniques had caught up to my ambitions. And I had the inspiration and motivation to take on such a massive area to try to model. The bad news is, it is a background scene of all background scenes. And unfortunately, I didn't know it was going to be a background scene to this extent until it was all done. And I've been playing the game in the train yard over there and realizing that you can't even really see the high school unless you intentionally fly over there. But if you do fly over there, it looks incredible. It's out of sight for most of your time you're going to be operating trains. So for that, I apologize for wasting both of our time on building such a detailed scene that you're really not going to be able to appreciate, myself included. But anyways, so let's talk about the elephant in the room here that you're about to see on camera. Full disclosure, I struggled with this roundabout, and I mean struggled. You were going to see me build it, unbuild it, rebuild it, unbuild it, rebuild it, probably that many times. So just a fair warning, it is not me rewinding the camera, it is me trying to figure this out. And to this day, I still don't even know if I've learned any lessons on how to build roundabouts better. And I've watched this video several times to try to relearn it and figure it out. I don't know. 1 minute it's messed up, and then all of a sudden it seems like it's there. But once it finally got done, I was very pleased with it. It came out really nice in the end product. And speaking of which, if you guys noticed, I didn't put an intro in because I wanted it to be a surprise until the outro. I promise you, it does look really good when all is said and done. I really enjoy this Silog spline, but the problem is its default height value is so high. And when you have to make small cuts and weird angles with it, it gets really blocky or choppy or whatever, so you have to make like really small cuts and then move those individual slices little by little. It's very frustrating to work with. The opposite is true when it comes to Surveyor 2.0 and having to copy and paste these parking lot splines. Oh my goodness. It saves so much time. I even had to rebuild that parking lot a couple times as I made adjustments to it, but because I could just copy and paste it, it's just incredible. Such a huge step in the right direction as far as this game is concerned. I will say that the best way to get spacing between parking stalls, I've learned, is to just do what I'm doing on camera and put two vehicles side by side and kind of eyeball it. It's so quick, painless. It may not be perfectly accurate, but it really gets the job done quickly. Alright, so you can see the struggle is beginning. I think the best way to do it is you start off with the road splines to get your spacings, and then you kind of just trace it in with the hand laid splines. The problem is it gets really confusing because you have to be able to get in and out of the roundabout, and because it's a circular shape, it's hard to get straight lines. I don't know. It was such a pain in the behind. And by the way, this build was all done in one sitting. I think it was like 6 to 8 hours of building, maybe even longer. I was so exhausted when all was said and done. And as you can see, I'm still trying to figure this out and drawing lines, deleting lines, drawing lines, and deleting lines. So as you can see, we finally got a nice circle. Probably did this much harder than it had to be. The problem is it's not really a roundabout because you have to have the entry and exit lanes. But if you just draw lines like this, you risk losing that circular shape. And that was really the problem I was running into, if I remember correctly. So I'm relaying the road splines to try to get the shapes again. But I think right around here is where I started to figure it out. I think what worked best was laying down the road splines, tracing over the left and right limits of it, and then putting a perimeter like this to get the shape of the road once I delete the road spline. I don't know for sure if that's the trick to do it, but right around here is where it starts to come together. And I knew I had to nail this because this was kind of a focal point to this whole parking lot area. So I knew if I can get this right, the parking lot should be pretty decently easy and straightforward to get done. Oh my goodness. It's first glimpse of it finally coming together. Been a long time coming. Fair warning, there's going to be a lot of hand drawing lines like that in this video. That was not the worst of it by any means. The roundabout didn't come out perfect, as it's like slightly misshapen here and there, but I really feel like it's more than good enough to suffice. right around here is where I really started to kind of get inspired and feel the groove of this high school. I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna make the sidewalks look good, but if you just watch what I do on camera here and follow this technique, oh my goodness, it is so good. And it's really easy to do. So this is me kind of inventing the wheel, so to speak, for how I do stuff in the future. And the finished product is so good. I highly recommend tracing over the lines of these really subpar assets like this. It makes such a huge difference because you can change the color of the grass to how you want. It's really worth the effort. And I do it a lot in this video, but the product is really good. And yes, we do the same technique for this football field and track. And I mean, I trace over everything. But it looks much better than the simple stadium asset or whatever that's originally used. So it's certainly something to consider if you want a highly detailed area or something to look nice. Don't worry, I spared you the pain of me tracing over all those numbers. So there you have it. We covered a massive amount of real estate in this video. Even though it's a background scene, it always feels good to get a lot done. Hope this video finds you well, and once again I apologize for this big hiatus, but we are back, baby. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you back for another one soon. Take care.